Hey everyone, Stephanie Robilio here, licensed clinical social worker, published author, and the chief clinical officer at Agape Behavioral Healthcare, and you are tuning into the Stephanie Robilio podcast, your go-to resource for transforming your mental health and overall wellness. Hi everyone, welcome back. As always, thank you for tuning in and thank you for staying connected with me. Today I'm going to dive into a topic that I believe everyone needs to hear, especially if you have ever felt stuck, like you're capable of more but can't seem to move forward no matter what you do and no matter how hard you try. So today's episode is all about how unresolved trauma sabotages potential and what you can do about it to overcome that sneaky pattern of self-sabotage. So whether you're striving to grow in your career, improve your relationships, or improve your overall sense of self, your well-being, your mental health, you have to address your unresolved trauma. If you have unresolved trauma and you ignore it, it's literally like running the show behind the surface. Why? Your subconscious is always working. And so here's the deal. Oftentimes people don't want to face their trauma because let's be real with each other. The idea of facing your trauma can be scary, can be overwhelming. It can bring up so many emotions. Certainly it can bring up fear because who wants to relive the pain of the past? None of us want to actually relive the pain of our past. But what happens is when you ignore your trauma, it's still there. So whether you want to face it or not, inevitably it's going to be there behind the scenes because your subconscious is always working, always running. And so the idea is, how can you bring that trauma forward in a very safe way, face it with courage, face it with support, do your inner work so that you can overcome it, heal it, transform it. And naturally, if you're that person who struggles with self-sabotage, that pattern will transform into self-love because self-sabotage is not something that we choose. It's a symptom or a manifestation of our unresolved trauma. And so if you have that unresolved trauma, let's talk about how you can overcome it with specific things that you can do. So the hidden impact of trauma, right? This is something that I think we need to talk more about because yes, we are living in a time where there's definitely a flashlight on the term trauma, especially with social media. People are using this word left and right. And I think it's amazing that there's more awareness around it, but it's not just a trending word. This is a very serious thing that really has the ability to essentially break someone's life because of what it can do, meaning it can cause anxiety, it can cause depression, it can cause bipolar, it can cause significant grief, it can cause addiction, whether it's with drugs or alcohol, sex, gambling, food, porn, relationships, social media, video gaming, you name it. Trauma and the hidden impacts are so serious and it's really important to talk about it. And so most people think of trauma as a specific event. And yes, trauma can be a single moment like a car accident or some type of loss in your life, whether you lose a loved one, lose a career, lose a big amount of finances. That is absolutely traumatic. But trauma is also what happens inside of us when we don't feel safe, seen, or supported over time. It's not necessarily just the event. It's the narrative we have as a result of what happened and what didn't happen, because trauma isn't always what happened to us. Sometimes it's what didn't happen for us. And so let's use the example that it could be something like emotional neglect, being raised in chaos, feeling like you never earned love just for being you, meaning you only felt loved when you were performing or pleasing. These wounds often go unspoken, but they live inside your nervous system. They have certainly lived inside my nervous system at one point, and they shape the way we see the world, and they shape the way we see ourselves. And so unresolved trauma can show up as people pleasing because you might fear rejection, perfectionism because you think mistakes mean you're unworthy, self-sabotage because deep down, maybe success to you doesn't feel safe, or you have a fear of success or even a fear of failure, so therefore you don't show up because it's safer to not try than it is to try, because if you try, you might fail or you might succeed, and that's fearful to you. Procrastination because your inner child fears failure or even visibility, right? Maybe you're that person who feels safer kind of in the background. You don't want to have the spotlight on you. And so as a result, you procrastinate because it delays you from taking action. It delays you from being seen in some way. And so This is just a handful of examples of how trauma can completely hijack a person's potential. It's not that you're not capable of reaching your highest potential. It's not that you're not smart. It's not that you're not good enough. It's not that you don't have talent. You are filled with talent. You are filled with strength. You have everything you need to transform your life, to overcome the things that hold you back, and to reach your highest potential. But your nervous system has learned to associate visibility, vulnerability, and success, or maybe all of those things or one of those things, with danger. And here's the deal. Your mind, just like my mind, is so brilliant and also so tricky, with the understanding that by our thought alone, we have the ability to perceive danger even when danger is not present. So you could be, let's say you're visualizing taking this next step in your career. You're so excited about it. You can't wait. It's something you've been dreaming about. And when it's time to go on that interview, that sneaky pattern of self-sabotage shows up. And what do? You create a narrative that keeps you from taking this step forward, right? Because you have perceived in your mind that the interview is a potential threat, meaning you can go to that interview, maybe sound stupid, maybe not sound smart enough, maybe be rejected, maybe not get the hire, whatever the narrative is, right? But here's the situation. If you don't have evidence to those things, do not let your mind trick you into something, especially something that's going to cost you doing the thing that you've been dreaming of. If you're going to let your mind trick you, let it trick you into believing you are the absolute best. You are filled with gifts and talents that you can do whatever you want to do. Right? If your mind can self-sabotage, then that means your mind has the ability to propel you forward. But it requires awareness, which we're going to get into in a little bit. But you have to be aware. That's the first step. And so I want to really highlight that. Your mind has the ability to either trick you or prepare you. By thought alone, you can perceive anything to be real. If you tell yourself you're going to fail, that becomes your reality. If you tell yourself you're going to succeed, that becomes your reality. It doesn't mean you're not going to fall down along the way. You're going to fall down. I'm many, many years into my journey of self-discovery and working towards being my absolute best. And guess what? I fall down, and sometimes I fall down weakly. But what matters is that you learn how to bounce back with grace, with self-kindness, with self-compassion, with self-forgiveness. If you've been connected with me, you know one of my constant messages to you all is that your best is always enough. And sometimes our best is going to look different every day, and that is okay. The beauty of our journey is that we get to define what it means to be our best. It's not our parents, it's not our husband, our wives, our children, it's not our jobs, it's not the people we work with, it's not our peers, our friends, it's not our relatives. Like, we get to decide. It's certainly not society or social media. Like, your journey is up to you. Your best is up to you. Reaching your highest potential, you get to define that. What it means to me could look different for you, and what it looks like for you could be different for me. And there's nothing right or wrong about any of it. It's all about creating a life that feels good to you, creating a life that you can't wait to wake up for, having the courage to do your inner work so that you are not hijacked by your trauma, so your potential is not blocked by your trauma. And so reclaim your power, right? That's really what this message is about. How can you reclaim your power? And so here's a few steps that you can take to reclaim your power. If you have read my book, The Mindful Makeover, and participated in that workbook experience, you know that I refer to the 4 pillars of healing and transformation as the magic 4, which is awareness, acceptance, accountability, and action. Awareness, we have to start by naming what's actually happening. The resistance to whether launch that business or make amends, whatever it is that might be showing up in your life. Maybe it's even feeling lazy, not being able to follow through, not being consistent, struggling with self-discipline. Whatever it is, we have to first become aware of it. We have to name it. And so keep in mind that no matter if you're struggling with self-sabotage, people-pleasing, procrastination, lack of consistency, lack of discipline, somewhere throughout your life, your body learned to play small to stay safe. So the first step is to honor that truth without shame. How can you gain awareness of your patterns without shaming yourself for your patterns? I know for me, I lived many, many, many years struggling with a very deep pattern of perfectionism and people pleasing. And to this day, I actively have to work on not showing up in that way. Of course, it's easier today because I've been consistent. Am I always consistent? No. But you're not going to always hit it 100%. Again, when you maintain self-awareness, all that means is that you're paying attention and you can catch yourself when you are falling into an old pattern and then do something about it in that moment, right? You must do something about it in the moment. And then acceptance. There might be things in your life that were unfair, things that happened to you, things that didn't happen for you. And it's important to acknowledge that maybe you didn't have the things that you needed as a child or whatever the narrative is for you. But then do you have the wisdom to accept the things you cannot change? Do you have the wisdom to accept the things you cannot change? And do you have the courage to change the things that you can, right? The serenity prayer. It's something that I say almost every single day if I'm honest. But do you have the courage to change the things that you can and the wisdom, right? To accept what you can't, to know the difference. Because you can spend a lot of time feeling resentful, feeling bitter, feeling angry, feeling sad, whatever it might be, over something that's so far beyond your control. And that's okay to be there. But my encouragement to you is don't be there for too long, because all it does is rob you of time, your life, of your potential. If you can change it, then change it. And if you can't, then find a way to practice acceptance. In my experience, acceptance might be something you have to do every single day. We have no way of wiping out memory from our brain and body. It's not how it works, right? Like, can you imagine if we could just do a good old Control Alt Delete and like starting fresh blank page? But that's not the deal. I think part of our experience as a human is getting to that place where you are able to practice acceptance every single day, practice awareness every single day. And it's what will allow you to not only become more confident, but it's really what puts you on the path of enlightenment, of transformation, to understand that you are not defined by the things that happen to you. It's not your fault, the things that happen to you, but it is your responsibility to heal. It is your responsibility to reach that place in your journey to recognize, how are you still contributing to your suffering? If something happened yesterday or a year ago or years ago, and you're still sitting in it, is it necessarily the event's fault or that person's fault? Yes, they played a part in hurting you to some degree. But if you continue to live in that narrative and replay it over and over, the responsibility falls on you. And I say that with so much love. And I can only say that because I was once that person. I lived in the same painful memories over and over and over. And I was so good at being a victim to my past experiences, the things that happened and the things that didn't happen. It wasn't until I got so tired of my own you-know-what, my own BS, that I finally stepped up to the plate, faced myself in the mirror and said, no, it's my job to get better. It's my responsibility to get better. I have to do the work. It's not my mom, my dad, my brother, my this, my that. Like, no, it's me. I have to do it. And so I invite you with love to take an honest look at yourself. And that leads me to the next A, which is accountability in the Magic 4. You must hold yourself accountable. If you want to reach your highest potential, then you have to hold yourself accountable. You cannot go through your life blaming people, places, and things. If you do that, you will naturally stay stuck. And it makes sense. Why? Because you can't control or change people, places, and things. Your power is in your ability to change the way you respond to people, places, and things. That is one of your many superpowers. You have the ability to change your response. And it takes time, and it takes practice, and it takes awareness. When you find yourself replaying that old memory that you know is going to hurt your feelings, whether it's from a past breakup, a bad conversation with a loved one, something that happened in the workplace, maybe something even more severe from your childhood or even your adult life where trauma took place. When you find yourself stuck in that memory, replaying the same thoughts over and over and over, in that moment, stop, pause with grace, and remind yourself that you have a choice. You can choose to focus on the pain, or you can choose to focus on the opportunity to grow and move and flow in a new direction, which, by the way, every single moment of every single day is an opportunity. We're so bogged down by the day-to-day routines and responsibilities that it's so easy to overlook the moments that are offering us so much. Every moment is so generous. Your only job is to pay attention and catch yourself when you're falling into old ways of thinking, being, and feeling and responding, and do something different. And that leads me to A, action. Obviously, all of these A's are super important, but action is the most important. You can practice awareness, you can practice acceptance, you can practice accountability. But if you don't stay active in practicing those things, the knowledge of them will only take you so far. I often say it, to have knowledge is cool, but really it's not that cool because knowledge by itself does not create change. Applied knowledge is power, as they say. Applied knowledge creates change. And you are responsible for the change that you desire. You are responsible for reaching your highest potential if that is something you want. If you don't want to evolve and you're very comfy in your pain, then stay there, right? Like that's one of the many things that's amazing about being a human is we get to decide what it is that we want. But if you're that person who's so tired of feeling down, so tired of self-sabotaging, so tired of being exhausted by perfectionism, and let's keep it real, perfectionism is exhausting. If you're that person who's so tired of your own stuff, then do something about it, right? You have the ability to rewrite the story. You are not who the trauma told you to be. You're never too much. You're not unworthy. You're not broken. You are someone who survived, and now you have an opportunity to live, to work towards thriving, whatever that looks like for you. And I realize that this is really hard work. And it requires a lot of self-compassion. You can't punish yourself into healing. You can't shame yourself into healing. You must bring curiosity instead of criticism. Meaning, when you find yourself self-sabotaging, can you pause in that moment and be curious about where is this coming from? Right? Don't criticize yourself. Don't sit there and tell yourself you're a failure, you can't get it right, you're inadequate. No, that's not going to lead you further along in your journey. If anything, it's going to perpetuate the things that you don't want. So stay curious. Ask yourself, what might this behavior be protecting me from? What might this pattern be keeping me safe from? Trauma isn't your fault, right? But again, healing is your responsibility. I'm going to say that so many times throughout this episode because it's so important. Trauma is not your fault, but healing is your responsibility. So practice self-compassion and then building safety in your body. This is super important. We know that trauma lives in the body, and sometimes we might feel like we know what to do, but our body won't allow us to. And so this is where practices like somatic therapy, nervous system regulation, and inner child work become super powerful. There are things that you can do on your own. A lot of self-help practices will support you in doing this work by yourself. But my encouragement to you is that if you are really in a place where you are struggling, you are suffering, you're experiencing high stress, and you know that there's trauma from your past that you need to face, just know that you are not alone and you don't have to face it alone. I encourage you not to face it alone. Whether you have a supportive friend, even reaching out for professional help, whether it's through counseling or therapy, a life coach, somebody who's qualified to hold safe space for you as you navigate your way, returning home to your body, finding safety in your body. Very, very important. So I'm a big advocate, obviously, for therapy, being a licensed therapist myself and overseeing a therapeutic program for people struggling with addiction and mental health at Agape. Really a huge advocate for support. It's necessary and it's available. And if you're at a place where you don't think you need professional help, but you really want to begin this work, don't ever doubt the power of breath work and little simple gentle movements, even stretching, going on a walk, riding your bike. All of this can help you start to move that trauma through your body and out of your body, because really it's just energy that's locked up and we have to get it processed and moved along. And so just remember that you do have the power to start with one breath at a time. And another huge part of this work is learning the boundaries you need to set. We know that setting boundaries creates new evidence that safety is possible. So what that means is if you are in a relationship and you know that that relationship is not good for you, how can you work towards setting a boundary where you're going to find a way to safely remove yourself from that relationship or limit contact with that person? Maybe it's a family member who you speak to every day and you know that that person is not good for you because of the dysfunction or the toxicity or the trauma that still is there. How can you set a healthy boundary? And so I just really want to highlight that you have more power than the world will ever tell you you do. And it's so easy to think that we have to rely on external factors to heal and to recover and to reclaim our power. But the truth is, everything you need is within you. Everything you need is within you. All of the answers that you've been trying to find, They're within you. Sometimes you just have to slow down, be still, sit in silence, and ask for help when needed. But you have what it takes. And you're certainly capable. I mean, I'm a big believer that our trauma has the ability to transform into talent. But again, we have to be aware. We have to practice acceptance. We have to practice accountability. We have to get into action, right? Like we gotta lean into the magic four and do the work, because the magic four is one way that can lead you to your talent. It can guide you to your highest potential. But getting there, it's work. It's work. But just remember, staying in a place of suffering is also work, and staying in a place of wanting to evolve is work. So we get to decide, which work do you want to do? Both might be perceived as hard, right? But you get to pick your hard. And I hope and I pray that you will choose the hard that's going to lead you to better outcomes, because you are more than worthy and deserving of experiencing a life of inner peace, of living out your dreams, making those dreams turn into reality. All those desires that have been placed on your heart, they're there for a reason. Those desires are on your heart for a reason. They're certainly not there for you to ignore. If anything, see those desires as a knock on the door of your heart, the knock for you to open, right? Your higher self is knocking, waiting for you to answer, and trust that your inner wisdom is going to guide you one step at a time. You only have one step at a time. It makes no sense to let your mind take you too far into the future. I know it happens. I used to future trip all the time until I committed to really practicing mindfulness, which is just being where your feet are, one step at a time, one now at a time. And so before I wrap up, I want to leave you with some final thoughts and some practical tools that you can begin doing. So here's a few things, and I'll definitely put these in the show notes. Start journaling. Even if you're like, no, journaling's not for me, journaling is a wonderful roadmap that can lead you closer to what it is that you need to discover, not only about yourself, but discover about your potential, discover about trauma that's unresolved, that needs your love, needs your attention, needs healing. So here's one prompt. You could say something like, or respond to something like, what beliefs did I adopt to survive, and are they still serving me? What beliefs did I adopt to survive, and are they still serving me? So as an example, one belief that I know I adopted throughout my life is that in order to be considered worthy, I need to perform, and not just perform, but overperform. I'm definitely on the path of recovering from perfectionism and overachievement, to the point that it has truly caused me severe burnout in areas of my life. And so somewhere throughout my life, I learned that if I perform, that must mean I'm worthy. It means I'm good enough, right? And I can remember even being in school, it's like wanting to get the best grades, wanting to get a good GPA, in the workplace, wanting to go above and beyond. And so this is something that I have to have awareness around. And when I find myself trying to overperform, I need to pause in that moment and remind myself that the belief that in order to experience worth means performance is not true. At least for me, it's not true. And I don't believe it's true for you. We are worthy just for being, not for doing. But that's just one example, right? So make a list of your beliefs and realize, acknowledge that most of our beliefs came from our survival, came from our history, our background. And a lot of our beliefs aren't even our own beliefs. They've been passed to us through generational existence of our parents, our grandparents, and way down the line. And ask yourself, are they still serving me? If they are, beautiful. If they aren't, then do something about it. Work towards a new belief. You get to create new beliefs. Your beliefs are simply thoughts, right? Thoughts become beliefs because we think it long enough that becomes a belief. Then create micro safety. So what I mean by micro safety is do something one day that affirms your safety to take up space. Whether it's setting a boundary, speaking honestly and authentically, or resting without guilt. These are just small examples of what it means to create safety. So the micro safety, it's the small moments throughout your days, throughout your weeks, where you choose safety by taking up space through boundary setting, authenticity, or giving yourself permission to rest without guilt, which is so important. And then last but not least, of course, I'm going to recommend reading Unpack Your Bags. This is my most recent self-help book. And the reason I recommend this is because I literally pour my heart and soul into this book. It's 11 chapters. Every single chapter feels like I'm sitting next to you on the couch, having a beautiful, heartfelt, very real, relatable conversation. I offer a skill at the end of every single chapter. And I don't just offer the skill, I teach you how to apply the skill to unpack whatever it is that you're struggling with. And so all of us come with emotional bags, all of us, because all of us have had painful experiences in our past. Maybe it was an isolated event, maybe it was a series of events, but we all have known pain to some degree. And as a result, it becomes this emotional weight that we carry with us, whether it's the constant guilt, the constant stress, the anxiety, the fear, the shame, the insecurities, the lack of confidence, the lack of self-worth, the low self-esteem, all of that stuff, the anger, the bitterness, the resentment, like all of it, right? Those are bags that we need to unpack. We have to get to the root of it. If we can get to the root of it, then we really increase our understanding, our insight. And that is what allows us to show up and evolve. Understanding all it means to evolve is to be a little bit better every single day. And in order to be a little bit better every single day, you have to do the work. And it's the small work, even though it feels like big work. It's the small steps that lead you to the big outcomes. And so I just want to share with you, and I truly mean this from my heart. I'm saying this from a place of once feeling like the person who wasn't good enough, feeling unworthy, feeling inadequate. You were never meant to stay small, ever. You were just taught somewhere throughout your life that it's safer to be small than it is to be seen. And I get that. I'm still working on this to this day. There are moments in my life where I just want to stay in the shadows, stay in the background. But here's the deal. Dimming your light is such a disservice to yourself, to your loved ones, to your community, the people you work with, and to the world. Every time you find the courage to show up and turn on your light and turn it bright, like really bright, you inspire the next person to do the same. We all somehow end up modeling each other. And so when one person plays small, the next person plays small. And when one person steps up and takes up space and turns on their light, it inspires the next person to do the same. And so I want you to, this is just an invitation, heal your trauma. Heal it. Face it. Have the courage to face it. It's not just about feeling better. It's about becoming who you were always meant to be, and you deserve to become who you were always meant to be. And from my heart to yours, I know for sure you were never meant to be a person who has to live your life stuck in a place of trauma, stuck in a place of suffering, feeling stuck, feeling small, feeling inadequate, feeling unworthy, feeling stressed. No. Somehow we have normalized that, but it's not normal to live that way. This is really hard to comprehend, but what's normal is waking up every single day feeling good. What's normal is looking in the mirror and liking your reflection. What's normal is easily embracing joy and knowing that happiness is around the corner. That's what's normal. That's what's natural. Our natural state of being is joy. And I know that to be 100% true because I'm a mother to a beautiful little girl who's about to turn 7 months. And when I look at her, she radiates joy, she radiates light, she radiates love, she radiates life. Like she's all those things. She's not pain, she's not suffering, she's not trauma. And I hope and pray that I never, ever, ever I'm the one that causes her. I know that my commitment is to be so intentional, and that's a different podcast. But the reason I bring her up as an example is that we all once entered Earth as a precious, innocent being, a child, filled with life, filled with light, filled with joy, filled with love. And somewhere throughout our life, we experience trauma, and it's okay. It's happened. We can't undo it. Part of that is that it offers us the opportunity to return back home to our natural state, which is joy. So again, from my heart to yours, I hope and I pray that you will find the courage to return back home to your true self, which is the self of joy, the self that is happy, the self that is confident, the self that is playful, the self that laughs easily, the self that is lighthearted. All of the beautiful things that we witness in children is everything that we were and everything that we still are. And it's certainly everything that we are meant to be. Until the next time, lots of love. Thank you so much for being here with me today. If you found today's episode to be insightful and inspiring, drop me a review so together we can help the next person, and come connect with me on social at Stephanie Robilio and find all of my books on Amazon. Until the next episode, stay mindful and always remember the power that lives inside of you.